Hi everyone, this is Jane here. I'm hoping this is going to be a bit of a better angle, but I'm not convinced that it is. So we're going to give it a go, and I'm just going to tidy up my messy desk a little bit. I'm sorry if you can hear any background noise. There seems to be some people outside being a little bit noisy at the moment. Not quite sure why they need to shout at each other. But hey, each to their own. Okay, so I'm just going to tidy up my desk a little bit while we're here. And then I've got some, just put there, where can I put that? I'll put that there for now. Right, okay. I've got some covers to make. So I thought I would just come on and do almost like a little bit of a mass making, really. Let's just get rid of some of the bits and pieces here, because I've still got mess everywhere. Okay, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to see a little bit better the cover that I made the other day, and I put the video up for. So it was all a bit close up. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I think it definitely looks a bit better. So excellent. So what I did with that cover in the end was I did put Mod Podge on it, as you saw, and then I just came along here and put some washi tape down on the on the crease there, just to sort of cover that up, so it doesn't lift when we bend the spine. So that works quite well. And then I came along and I did some crackle paste on the corners. I may do some in these corners as well, and if I do that, I'll do that in a video, because I think that's quite a nice thing to show. So if I do that, I probably will do it, but I'll do that on a video. So let's just crackle paste with a stencil. And so that was that outside. And then on the inside, I've literally just used up strips of washi tape on the inside. I haven't put anything here yet, because obviously I'm going to bind in the pages, but I haven't decided whether I want to put just something that's just plain there. As it's only going to be between the pages anyway, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there yet, so I've left that for now. So that was the cover that I was working on the other day in the last video. So that was that one. I'll just pop that over here. So what I've got here is, I had all these boxes, so I've got 4 ready to roll. So that is 4 slightly different sizes. I had to chop off a little bit extra on this because it was a bit ripped at the top, and I'm going to need to reinforce this one, I think, because it's got a bit bent, but still going to be fine. So I've got those boxes there, and I've got some material that I'm going to use. These are kind of all sort of steampunky materials, so they don't all have to be steampunk, but that's the material that I've got, so I'll probably just use that for now. I just thought I would come on and do a few all in one go. But what I thought I would do as well is show you how I prepare in the box. I'm sure loads of you have seen me do this before, but I just thought, as we're gonna do some covers, just thought I would show you exactly what we end up with. So I just split the box down. So when the box is sealed, there'll be like one edge here that is stuck. So you want to have a look inside, work out where that is. You don't want to rip this to start. You want to get in there and get that bit where it's already got. Otherwise you end up with that as a bit of a, it'll be like that, and it'll be a bit of a lump. So you don't really want to have that. So then I just tend to chop off all the extra bits. So I'm going to chop off one edge. I'm going to chop off this edge. Now, like I say, I've said it before, you can measure. You can use a cutting board if you want to. I actually feel like with this, it's quite easy, because this sort of folds are there, to just cut along where the folds were, so it's not difficult to work out where you're at. So that's those little bits done. You can keep those little bits if you wanted to, make little things out of them. But I'm trying to save space at the moment, so I'm not going to keep those. So then we end up with just the thing that's ready to be a cover. So I'm going to take this one, as we've got this one here. I've already cut up the material for this, and so I don't need to measure all that out, but you literally just put the material down and then put your shape on it, and then just cut around it. Allow yourself about this much all the way around, so you've got plenty to kind of fold in. Okay, so this is the upside down side. That's the way we want it. And that's that. So what we're going to do, we're just going to check what we're going to look at. So this material isn't that thick, so you can just see the box, the printing on the box through it. So you can either cover up the printing on the box with just some plain copy paper to kind of just dye it down, or you could paint over it if you wanted to. You could use a thicker material to cover it, or you can use this option. What I'm going to do with this one is to show you the other option. So the other option is to fold it in the other way. So we need to just reinforce the fold to go back the other way. You can do that with a bone folder, or just as good with your scissor handles. So that's that. So then what I would do is put that side, so it doesn't matter, this isn't going to show through, so that's just fine and dandy. So I'm going to get the card, I tend to use glue stick for this. You can use Fabri-Tac, Fabrifix. Those are the two that I would really choose for this. And you want to get right into the edges. And then just put plenty of glue stick down. Okay, so that is that, all covered in glue. And then you literally just take it and place it where you want it with your material. So all good. Give it a good press down, and then, so you know you've got roughly this much to fold over. So you're just going to run your glue stick along that edge, and then I just fold them over like that, sticking it down. Now you will have a little bit here, you can re-stick that down with something else, but I'm not too fussed about it, because we're going to cover that with some paper. So then I would do the bottom one down here, exactly the same again. It's all stuck down, and then I would just trim away the diagonals, and then hopefully should fold down quite nicely and make the corners. So let's just see what we've got. So we're just going to do exactly the same again. Just fold that down, just like that. If you do have a little bit here that's hanging off a little bit, you can just trim that afterwards. I tend to do it afterwards because I've found that if I've tried to do that before, I've ended up cutting too much off and ending up with bits of the box still showing. So that's why I leave it until afterwards. So that's all good. I'm just going to do the same here. Cut off the diagonal like that. Cut off this diagonal. Like that. Put the glue down. And then fold this over. Just like that. And then if we've got any overhang here, just trim that off. You can always use a bit of extra glue if you need to. And the same here. Here you go. So that's your cover. And then on the inside, I would, let me just get rid of that. There's a little bit still hanging up there. Okay. So then on the inside, I will probably use some scrapbook paper to cover those two bits. And then this will be the inside of your spine. So you can cover that with anything really. Washi tape would be really good for that. So yeah, that's your cover. So that's one method of doing it. Now the other thing I just wanted to show you is that if we have, I'll show you with this bit of material. Let's see what we've got here. That's a bit thin. I love this material, this fabric. I got this on eBay. If I can find the link to her shop, I'll put it down below because it was a bargain, an absolute bargain. So let's have a little look and see what we've got here. So we've got this. So this, again, it may show through a little bit. So that's not something we really want to have going on because we want the cover to kind of just be the cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover this and this and this with some, you could do it with scrapbook paper, you could do it with card. If in the case of that one that's a bit bendy, I might do that with card. Actually, we'll do it with the one that's bendy because it's got to be done anyway. So let's just see what we've got that we could stick down there that would strengthen that, but also cover up the stuff, the printing that's on there. So I'm going to do it with a bit of this. This is like, it's card, but it's not too thick. But it'll be enough to cover it and it'll be enough to strengthen this up. So, excellent. And what we'll do is we'll just a little measure. I've only got a pen. I don't know why. I've got no pencils here at the moment. Not quite sure what I've done with them. I had loads of pencils here, but now I can't find any pencils, which is a bit crazy really. I'm not quite sure what I've done with them. Oh, there's one. Let's grab this pencil and try not to lose it. So, like I say, you can measure it. You can do it on a cutting board. I'm going to just do it with scissors. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this quite exact. So I'm going to draw around the actual thing, shape, like that. And I'm also going to mark where the spine is, because that's it. I don't really want to have just one piece of card. I'll show you what I mean in a sec. So I'm just going to cut out the shape. Hopefully we will have done the measuring okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut above those lines at the moment. Just because I've done it a bit wrong. So we'll put these lines here now, so we know where they are. And then we can cut down to the actual size. Right, okay, so the reason that I've marked that spine is because what I don't really want to do is have card that goes all the way around, because it won't work particularly well. Even if it's stuck down, it's going to kind of bunch up and stuff. So rather than that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the spine out separately. So I'm just going to fold this to the lines. Look at that. Just going to fold those down a bit. Just double check it to make sure that it's round about right, which it looks like it is. And just cut along there. And then this would be the same. Just want to fold it so that our two little marks are showing. So that's all that spine and the two sides. So I'm going to put that one there and that one there. We're just going to cover this up. So we're going to cover that up there. Stick all of that down. Stick, stick, stick with the glue stick. Cover that up. Doesn't have to be completely exact because we cover this in fabric. We can trim it off a little bit. So that's done that little bit. And then we've got the spine here. That's that. So that's covered. I've left the folds because we'll put sari silk or something else down there to actually manage the flexibility, because the card won't really do that. So bit of fabric will be better. And then over the side that needs the reinforcement, put that down there. Have another bit. So that's pretty good. So we're covered up now. And we've got that's all stuck down, that's all stuck down. Now I'm just going to go in and trim off any little bits that are overhanging. I'm just going to straighten that up a little bit because I didn't cut it very straight. Just going to cut along there because I hadn't measured that up very well. And this is just needing to be trimmed off a little bit too. So, like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think what we have is good enough. So now we've got a reinforced cover where the bendy was, so that's good. And we've also covered up the pattern of the printing. So that is all excellent. And then we're just going to take our piece of fabric and do exactly the same as what we did before, but the I think it's the other way up. So we didn't have to refold it. So just going to stick down all of that, and all of that. Make sure I've got glue all over it. I don't want it to be bubbly. So that's all done. And then we've got, you can just pop it down as evenly as we can. Now I've put this not even because I've got a little bit of folded material here that I don't really want hanging about. So I'm just going to trim that off. Can always use the fabric strips for something else. And then we're just going to do exactly as we did before with the edges. Just going to go along the edge. Fold it over. And go along the bottom. Fold it over. And just cut off a little triangle here. I've got a little triangle here. Is that. Just trim off any excess that's hanging out over the edge. Chop that off. And chop that off. Make sure that's all stuck down. We'll be sticking paper over that, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to do the same here. Glue and glue and glue. Just about running out of glue with this one. Cut our little triangle. That's that. And then I'm going to just fold that over. And then chop off the little triangular pieces there. So we've got our cover. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to mark right up at the top here with a T. I can rub that out later or cover it up with something. The reason I'm doing that is because this paper has to be this way up, because we've got our Airbuses, we've got our hot air balloons, everything is this way up on the fabric. So we don't really want to make a journal that's that way up. Be a bit weird. So I've marked the top. I just need to pay attention to where that top is this time. So that is my other excuse me, my other cover. I've got a few more to make this afternoon or this evening or tomorrow, but I didn't want to leave them just keep doing the same thing over and over. I thought that might get a bit boring for you, but I've got a really nice one here with some dragonflies, and I've got some postage mark ones, so we've got another couple there that we can make, and I've still got another couple of boxes, so we can do something else with those. But I just thought it'd be fun to show you that. I've got a box that's a slightly different size that I want to try and use. I've also got some leftover material scraps, which is going to be useful. So loads of different ideas on the go at the moment, but I just thought I would show you a couple of different methods to make your journal covers I think that's probably the best possible way. Loads of people have loads of different ideas on how to do these things, but I got that method of doing it from Pam at the Paper Outpost. She's brilliant. That's a method that I've used right from the beginning. She was one of the first junk journal people that I found, so I do quite a lot of things in the way that she does them. So I'm sure there are loads of different ways, and if you've got different ideas on different ways to do it, please pop it down in the description below. I'd love to have a go at some different ways. If you can recommend any, that'd be great. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back again in a couple of days to do another little video. I'll probably take one of these and show you what I'm going to do with the paper on the inside, how to cover that up, but I'm not quite sure what paper I'm using yet, so not quite ready for that yet. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and all that jazz, and I will be back again to see you soon. Thanks very much. Bye for now.